Good people, what's going on? This T Haynes of the Dome podcast, episode 5. I appreciate the views and feedback on the first four, just getting the podcast going. Shout out to everyone on Twitter who showing the love, man. So I appreciate that greatly. Man, we're not going to waste any time. Today, we're talking about Jay-Z doesn't blow up if Biggie Smalls is not killed. Now, listen. We've heard the narratives for years. Some people have talked about this since 1997. You still see it prevalent today in 2022 on every social media outlet, especially for Jay-Z doubters. And I'll say this because I typed this the other day on Twitter. It seems like the cool thing to say now is Jay-Z is not that good. Jay-Z is not lyrical. He really dumbed down his lyrics. He makes some commercial songs to pop off in the radio and club. But if you listen to his album tracks, the lyrics were there. Go back. Every album have tracks that he get deep into his lyricism, into that bag. But nevertheless, that's not what this particular episode is about. But it is the cool thing right now to say Jay-Z wouldn't be Jay-Z if Biggie would have lived. How do you know that? You assuming that what? He was going to just forget how to rap? Because he could rap in 1996 when Biggie was alive. So I guess you guys are saying that at some point in 97 or 98, Jay-Z was just going to forget how to rap. He would forget what he did on Reasonable Doubt. Reasonable Doubt was released in the summer of 1996. Biggie was alive and well and probably recording Life After Death at that time. So what am I missing here? Ready to Die dropped in the winter of 1994. Jay-Z released In My Lifetime single in 1995. He had already changed his flow and was rhyming pretty much the way he rhymes now. That started in 1995, a whole year before Reasonable Doubt. So I'm assuming that during 1995, he started recording Reasonable Doubt since it dropped in summer 1996. In summer 1996, Biggie Smalls was probably working on Life After Death. It was a double CD. A lot of songs. And it was released in the first quarter of 1997, which means it was probably done, January. It was probably sitting for a couple of months, getting packaged and everything like that, getting everything cleared up and shipments and things of that nature. So, yeah. So Jay-Z was rocking while Biggie was alive. So let's do this. Let's say this. On the tracks they did together, let's start there first because for some reason people think that Jay-Z learned how to rap once Biggie Smalls got killed. So let's go there first. Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt drops summer 96, Brooklyn's Finest. You hear the song. They're going back and forth. Nobody at that time, in 1996, I was in college, a hip-hop head. Me and a million other people at that time. No, I don't recall anyone saying, damn, man, that dude Jay-Z can't really rap. I mean, Biggie killed him on that track. No. They was going back and forth. I mean, heavyweight boxing match on Brooklyn's Finest. To the point that Pop paid attention. And started dissing Jay-Z before Machiavelli. Because that song was so potent. And of course, Biggie said that if Faye had twins, she probably had two Pops. Get it? Two Pop, whatever. But Jay-Z was killing on that song too, which ended up making him have these unreleased Machiavelli songs you heard later on. And he said, and Pac said, ain't no nigga like me, F Jay-Z on one of them joints. And then, of course, he named Jay-Z on Machiavelli. Obviously that's based on Brooklyn's Finest and his allegiance with Biggie. Now, Pac dies in September 96, so he didn't hear the tracks that came out in 97, but obviously there were two more tracks. I Love the Dough on Life After Death. They probably recorded that in 96, since again, that dropped in first quarter 97 on Life After Death. I Love the Dough. Sick. People still debate who had the best verse between Jay-Z and Biggie. Again, heavyweight boxing match. Some people say Jay got him. Some people say Big got him. Either way, nobody got destroyed. Nobody got outshined. So now these are 2 tracks. Fast forward, No Way Out album. Young G's. Jay-Z say, won't be known till I'm gone. The nigga still in my bones. You know what I'm saying? I mean, whew, when I listen to Young G's, at certain points, I think Jay got him. Certain points, I think Big got him. These have been debates since 96 and 97. Who got who on those 3 songs? Again, Jay had already proven while Big was alive, they was damn near neck and neck on 3 songs. Now, some people at that time was calling Biggie the best rapper on the East Coast or the best rapper, period. So you got this guy, Jay-Z. He's not a new guy, but he's been around a long time, but he's new to the limelight to a degree. Who's going neck and neck with him? Okay? So Jay-Z could rap while Biggie was alive. Reasonable Doubt dropped while Biggie was alive. Yes, Reasonable Doubt was an underground classic. No, it wasn't this big commercial hit like Volume 1 ended up being platinum, and then Volume 2, of course, went out of here with 5 million. But the songs were there. The respect was there. This is Jay-Z's debut album. He got Mary J. Blige on it. You know what I'm saying? He has Biggie on it. Rumor was he was trying to get Nas and AZ on there. I think they stood him up for bringing it on or whatever the case may be. But Jazzo was there. Sauce Money, who was always a beast during that time, was there. Reasonable Doubt ended up being a classic. Foxy Brown on Ain't No Nigga on Another Professor soundtrack. So they end up being gold. It was going to be gold whether Biggie was alive or dead. It went gold, eventually went platinum. Okay? 1996, again, as we spoken before in the early episode, was a flooded year of hip-hop. So yes, he wasn't famous enough yet. But respect, yeah, the respect was there in Brooklyn. OCS talked about him and shouted him out. Smooth the Hustle was on Dead President's joint. AZ was on Dead President's video. All the Brooklyn guys knew about Jay-Z. Okay? And a lot of East Coast cats knew about Jay-Z. He was coming up and down the East Coast. When I was in Greensboro, at one point, he was rocking with Ski Beats and Original Flavor. So Jay was everywhere at the time, but he was putting the work in and grinding. Same with Dame Dash. You see what I'm saying? So by the time Reasonable Doubt came out, a lot of people on the East Coast knew who Jay-Z was. Because Ain't No Nigga was a club banger and a radio hit. You see what I'm saying? Biggie respected Jay-Z at that time. You remember what Nas said on Last Real Nigga Alive? Big admired the Brooklyn Knight. The Brooklyn Knight is Jay-Z. You've heard Clark Kent talk about seeing Jay-Z and Big together, talking to Big, you know what I'm saying, and Big saying how he looked at Jay-Z's skills. So how are we in 2022 saying Jay-Z wasn't nice when somebody who a lot of you guys said was the GOAT, Biggie, is telling people, I don't know, homie might got me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like he's nice. He might be nicer than me. I don't know. I mean, these are some of the rumors that came out. The writing style. Lil C said Biggie was writing on Ready to Die. He might not wrote everything down, but C's was saying Biggie was kind of writing, and then Life After Death, he wasn't writing anymore. A lot of rumors was about when him and Biggie was in the studio. You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, excuse me, when Biggie and Jay-Z was in the studio, Big kind of saw how Jay-Z was moving and kind of inspired him also to at some point not write at all. These are all rumors, but again, the respect was there. Their respect spilled on into them, you know what I'm saying, doing more work together behind closed doors because Jay-Z was on Big Mama on Lil Kim album, Hardcore. This is 96. This is a couple of months after Reasonable Doubt dropped. Now, they already talking about the commission. You got to remember, Reasonable Doubt came out summer 96. They're probably recording Life After Death. Big Mama song is out. Lil Kim Hardcore is out in that fall. And Biggie passed that spring. Not even spring. I mean, it's almost still wintertime. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, they working together at that time on the commission. The rumor was Charlie Baltimore. I think Cameron. Whoever else would have ended up being there. Biggie respected Jay-Z enough to want to put an album together. Now, if you look at the 3 songs between Brooklyn's Finest, Young G's, and I Love the Dough, if that's any inclination of how the Commission album was gonna sound, they was about to smash things, man. Jay-Z and Biggie was about to kill it. And then if they was gonna join more forces, you got Cameron, Charlie Baltimore. At some point, you might even get a Foxy Brown, Lil Kim collab on the either Commission album or another album within their conglomerate. You know what I'm saying? Because Foxy was cool with both of them, and Kim obviously was cool. Well, cool with both of them too. You know what I'm saying? So maybe some of that tension between Kim and Foxy wouldn't happen. Now, the Charlotte Baltimore thing with Kim, I mean, that's something different. That's another whole story. But I'm just saying that could have been something huge. You know what I'm saying? Cameron, at some point, maybe Mace. What happens if Mace contract is up? Maybe he joins the Commission. You know, who knows? But what I'm saying is they was working on the Commission also. That would have blew off the roof. So if Biggie doesn't die, you got Reasonable Doubt, you got Life After Death, you got a Commission album coming. There is room for Jay-Z to still blow up. Because if you're saying Jay-Z can't blow up if Biggie is alive, then we're shortening hip-hop. We're saying it's a small little box and only one cat can be dope at the same time. That's absolutely false. Because even after Biggie passed away in 1998, Jay-Z and DMX were huge. And in 1999, Jay-Z and DMX co-headlined the Hard Knock Life Tour. If I'm not mistaken, the Hard Knock Life Tour was the biggest tour in hip-hop at that time. And maybe of all time at that time. Jay-Z and DMX, they weren't in each other's way. They was both massive. They both co-headlined the tours, and then they both went off at some point and was headlining their own tours. Massive success for both of them. There's always room. We like to short hip-hop and say nobody can blow up. This other person's in the way. They're not going to be in each other's way. Run DMC and LL Cool J at one point were the hottest things in hip-hop in the mid-'80s at the same time. When Bad and Bigger and Diff and all that was going on, you had King of Rock. At some point, Raising Hell, all this thing was going on. They were not in each other's way. At one point, NWA was massive, but Public Enemy was massive. You see what I'm saying? Both headlining tours. They didn't stop each other. Why are we doing hip-hop like that? Why wasn't Jay-Z gonna blow because Biggie was gonna be alive? You got people going multi-platinum at the same time. Wasn't Nelly and Ja Rule out at the same time? I know you probably want to laugh at that comment, but at one point I believe Nelly and Ja Rule was out at the same time, killing the clubs, killing the radio. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, DMX and Jay-Z was killing at the same time. You're not in each other's way. Only in hip-hop do we say, oh man, if so-and-so was alive, Jay-Z wouldn't blow. Okay. In other genres, greats and goats lived through the same time periods. Michael Jackson and Prince were both massive at the same time. Purple Rain wasn't in Thriller's way. Come on, man. Motown at one point had several massive acts at the same time. It's enough food on the table. Eminem was large at the same time. Several other legends were large. I mean, it didn't stop him. Jonas and Boys and Men at the same time, right? I'm just saying, we act like only one great MC can lead at the same time. Golden era, Big Daddy Kane was successful, Rakim was successful, KRS-One was successful. Like I said a few minutes ago, Public Enemy Chuck D was successful. Slick Rick was massive. And that rolled right on into Ice Cube, De La Soul, Tribe, and all of them. I mean, yeah, they wasn't at the top of the food chain in terms of like Tribe and De La, but they were still popular. But my point is, there's room for everyone. Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder coexisted. The Beatles and the Rolling Stones coexisted, people. So if you fast forward to 1997 again, Biggie is alive. Let's say Biggie is alive. Life After Death drops. I'm sure that inspires Jay-Z to make a dope album. Volume 1 probably sounds different. And remember now, if you take off that, I know what girls like, And Sunshine, I know people don't like Sunshine. Some of Jay-Z's best rhymes was on Volume 1 to this day. Streets is Watching, Lucky Me, Where I'm From. Jay-Z was killing on Volume 1. Go back now. I know revisionist history, you want to think it's whack, but it's those two songs. And some people like Sunshine. Now, I know what girls like. I do not like that song. Some people don't like City Is Mine. I thought City Is Mine was dope. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was dope. Nevertheless, Jay-Z's going to drop a dope album in 97 around the same time with Big. And then they're going to drop the Commission album. What happens after that? Nobody will ever know, but to assume Jay-Z's not going to blow is assume that he lost his skills because he knew how to make hits. Volume 2 still could have came. Just because Biggie would have been alive, that means there's no Volume 2? 45 King still might have found that Annie sample and Jay still makes a song out of life. I don't understand. Except Biggie might have been a feature on there. They wasn't in each other's way. They still both had their own lane. Because Biggie was still a little more hardcore and Jay-Z was still a little more flossy dope boy. And Biggie was more like rob you Brooklyn style, but Jay-Z was like hustling Brooklyn style. So there was still enough room for both of them to coexist and still dominate at the same time. Yeah, it would have changed some other things because, you know, Biggie goes at Nas and J. Rue and Boot Camp and everyone on Life After Death. Does Jay-Z end up getting into an early beef with Nas? Because we know he really admired Nas also. So does the Nas Jay-Z thing happen earlier or does it not happen at all? Does at some point they all get on a track together? That's a lot of egos. That's the reason why Murder Inc. with DMX, Jay-Z, and Ja Rule didn't work. According to Ja Rule, a bunch of egos and stuff like that. So maybe that doesn't happen. But nevertheless, to assume that means also to assume that Dame Dash don't hustle anymore. Puffy a hustler. Dame Dash is basically a Puff with more attitude. They built Rockefeller while Biggie was alive, while Puff was pushing Bad Boy and working on Life After Death. Rockefeller's already up and going. Yeah, it been up and going, I think, almost a year. Or more than that, because I think Rockefeller was kind of starting with In My Lifetime in 1995. They started shopping Jay-Z demos and things of that nature. You know, they couldn't get a deal. And then they ended up getting that distribution or something like that with Def Jam, but they was already moving and shaking though. Reasonable Doubt was done. He had dropped a classic underground album with skills. One thing about hip-hop and MCs, if you have skills, there's always a door that will open up at some point. Jay-Z can rap, okay? So with that being said, he has a chance always to drop something dope to this day. You know what I'm saying? But fast forward, well, going backwards rather, the lane was still open. The lane was still open. We're assuming that Dame Dash is not going to still. At one point, he was getting those doors open. Now he probably ended up getting them closed faster than a Puff because Dame is not going to be too diplomatic, which probably ended up being the downfall of Rockefeller. You know what I'm saying? So how long does Rockefeller last? How long does Bad Boy last? Everything looks different if Biggie fulfills his contract. He's with Rivera, and they get their own thing going with Undias, you know, and they getting their own artists and things of that nature, and he's done with Puff. What does Puff do after that? Puff might go straight R&B. You know what I'm saying? Rockefeller might break up if Dame get on Jay Nerve too much and Biggie and Jay-Z go into a business deal and business ventures together. They end up doing maybe multiple songs, street bangers and club bangers, and a duet album. You know what I mean? And then still have branch off doing their own individual concerts and albums and things like that. And both of them stay massive for as long as that can last. So then somebody else going to say, okay, well, Jay-Z wouldn't be the Jay-Z he is today if Biggie was alive. Why do you know? What if Biggie falls off and Jay-Z keep ascending? You're assuming that doesn't happen. You're assuming that Biggie was going to keep dropping amazing shit. But Biggie also had Puff. If he breaks off from Puff, like Puff or not, Puff know how to get them hits Does does Biggie still keep ascending? Maybe he does. Maybe he starts a clothing line, do all this stuff, and maybe he's large. I do still feel like because Dame hustle, they was gonna still have a Rockaware. They was gonna still have them S. Carters. I feel like they was gonna still do a lot of the stuff that they did after Big passed. Because that's what you're saying. You're saying somebody's destiny is predicated on someone else's life. You're saying Jay-Z's entire you know what I'm saying, success and everything that he did, his own drive, his own skills, his own business acumen, things like that, along with Dame Dash and Biggs, you saying all of that is no good if Biggie is alive. That's very disrespectful to these men who have worked to get to the point they are now and who worked back then to get Rockefeller going. Big lives and none of that matters. None of that hard work matters between Dame and Biggs. None of Jay-Z's skills matter, which he showed he had that when Biggie was alive. Nothing matters. Nothing matters because Biggie is still alive. Commission stuff, joint albums, joint songs. The rumor was Biggie told Jay, we're going to crush everybody. Again, Jay-Z and DMX was crushing the charts and crushing everything in 1990, late 1998, 1999. Why couldn't Biggie and Jay-Z? Matter of fact, we keep talking about Jay-Z career not being the same. You might not get the DMX blowing up with Def Jam if Biggie and Jay-Z rocking. Ja Rule might not ever pop off. There's a trickle-down effect of New York hip-hop if Biggie is alive. Some of your favorites from 98, 99, 2000, maybe they don't blow up if Biggie alive, but that doesn't mean Jay-Z don't blow up because they rocking together. You got to remember that. So I think the big thing is who else wouldn't have blown up because you compete now against a juggernaut with the Commission. Jay-Z and Big together, you competing against them. Now, Nas was a star in 1996 when It Was Written. So he's going to be fine. Now, we also can hypothetically, if Tupac lives, all of this changes as well. And that's another conversation for another day. So we're going to just stick to Biggie surviving. He survives. Jay-Z get an extra push also. Brooklyn get a push. East Coast hip-hop get a push. Maybe it prolongs the South for a little bit longer in terms of mainstream. Now, Master P ended up blowing it away, and then at some point, Cash Money, you know, and Nelly and the other regions. But maybe that pushes things out. Maybe Biggie living, Kanye doesn't become Kanye. Now, I'm not going to go too far left with this episode, but what I'm saying is we keep saying Jay-Z is not going to be the same. But if there's a commission, then they might be rocking with the Hitmen. And also, Biggie was starting to branch out with Life About the Death, you know what I'm saying, doing joints with Bone Thug, Too Short, everybody. So maybe he starts to deal with other type of producers with the Hitman, and then maybe it's Organized Noize and some other people. Then what if Jay-Z started using the Hitman more and some of the other cats too? Then Kanye might have ever gotten in the door. So hip-hop is also totally different, and music is different, and pop culture is different if Kanye don't pop off. They don't need Kanye probably. They work on the commission. You bring Charlie Baltimore and Cameron and all these guys in, you probably bringing people they know, producers and all kind of stuff. Rockefeller production team might look different now because Biggie and Jay-Z might have went out and picked their own production team. Even outside of the commission, Jay-Z wasn't like, you know, Biggie had the Hitmen, but maybe when he breaks away from Puffy, he don't have them. Jay-Z is using everybody: Ski Beats, Primo, Jazzo, then eventually, you know, Timberland and Pharrell and all them stuff like that. But if it's with him and Big, maybe there's no Kanye. Maybe Bink doesn't get in. Maybe there's no Just Blaze. So there's a whole lot to look at and to think about. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like I said, you got a juggernaut in Biggie and Jay-Z. They might have slowed down a lot of stuff in 1997. if they're together, Mace doesn't blow up like that. More than likely, because Biggie's alive, there's no need for Mace. I mean, he's gonna be Puff to make sure he popped off some, but he's not hollering more for $1 million, because Biggie gonna overshadow Mace. And Jay-Z with Biggie together, they gonna overshadow Mace. So you're right. There is some people who wouldn't have popped off if Biggie was alive, but it wasn't Jay-Z. Jay-Z and Biggie like the Road Warriors, the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, Ivan and Nikita Koloff, the Freebirds, the Four Horsemen. They popping, baby. You know what I'm saying? And they popping together, man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just looking at, think about all of the different artists who would have worked with Biggie and Jay-Z. And like I said, at some point, they're going to branch off. They're going to branch off. I mean, man, what do you guys think? Was hip-hop big enough for both of them? I want to say anyone who respects hip-hop is going to agree with me saying it was enough room for both to be massive stars. Massive stars. I gave you examples already. Run DMC and LL stars at the same time. NWA and Public Enemy stars at the same time. T.I. and Jeezy and all these guys were stars at the same time. Master P was massive. He was massive at the same time Puff and Mace was popping. People forget that. Go back and look at Master P's discography. Look at The Last Don, Ghetto D, and all these albums, multi-platinum albums at the same time, East Coast and commercialism and hip-hop and a shiny suit, whatever you want to, that rhetoric. The South was popping. Popping. When Outkast went diamond, other people was large. Jay-Z and all these guys are large. That's my whole point. People keep acting like there's only room for, like, if Biggie's alive, it's just going to be Biggie. Just how was that the case? When Biggie was large, Tupac was large. You can say, okay, Biggie was, in 1995, Biggie was the king of the East Coast, because you had the Ready to Die came out late 94, and then 1995 he had the joints with Total and 112 and all of these songs on the One More Chance remix and Juicy and all these joints on the radio. By spring 96, Pac drops All Eyes on Me. He's the biggest artist now in the West Coast. He finally eclipsed Snoop at the time. Snoop was a little colder at the time, because Snoop was the king of the West in 93. Pac is the king of the West in early 96 with All Eyes on Me. At the same time, Biggie is still popping because 95 was so massive for Bad Boy. It was still room for Biggie and Pac. It's always room. 2001, 2002, it was room for Jay-Z and Nas. Always been. I gave you an example again. Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles. The Isley Brothers, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Lionel Richie and Luther Vandross. You see what I'm saying? It's room. Janet Jackson and Madonna in the pop. I don't think we look at it like that. I think we always look at hip hop in this small box. And I don't think we look at hip hop the same way fans look at country music. Same way fans look at rock. Jazz at one point. Didn't you have Miles Davis and Thelonious Monk and John Coltrane, all these guys popping at the same time? Whole Harlem Renaissance at one time, people were just popping. That's what I don't understand. You can have Babyface and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, baby. The highway has more than one lane. Hip-hop has more than one lane, people. Hip-hop is more vast than that. Hip-hop is more eclectic than that. Hip-hop is more open than that. Don't short hip-hop. Don't short Jay-Z and Dame Dash. Don't assume that they can't pop off. Was Jay-Z going to be the biggest rapper in the world? Who says he couldn't have been? Why wouldn't he be able to? Because Biggie, one of them might have ended up eclipsing each other. You never know the trajectory of a career, obviously, because I mean the man passed away. So yeah, a lot of this is assumption, but at the same time, it's look at the track record. We saw three men start a record label after getting dissed by these bigger record companies. We saw them get their own street team and push Reasonable Doubt, made it respectable, made Def Jam go to the table twice to make sure this distribution and this business deal was favorable to Biggs, Jay, and Dame. You think that stops because someone doesn't get killed? Jay-Z has gone too far for anyone, in my opinion, to believe that his hunger drive talent, along with his partners, would have slowed down any. I think would have made them hungrier because Dame would have seen Puff as competition. He's like, look, okay, Puff, Biggie can be Hulk Hogan. Jay-Z is Ric Flair, because we know that nobody believed in Jay-Z more than Dame Dash did in 94, 95, 96. Nobody believed that. And when I say 94, they still was all around each other. I mean, they hadn't popped off or nothing like that, but Jay was rhyming. So nobody believed. So competition sometimes make the best in regard of music. Can you imagine Jay-Z and Dame and Biggs and them looking like they hear Life After Death? Maybe Jay does a double CD. I promise you his next album would have been massive. Now, I always say, good Lord, what would have happened after Life After Death with Biggie? Because if that was anything to come in regard to the future for Big, it would have been hard to eclipse Biggie if an album coming after Life After Death is anything like that. But we hadn't heard the best of Jay-Z yet because of that. We heard Volume 1 and we said, okay, that's cool. Volume 2 took him through the roof with 5 million. Volume 2 might have happened earlier. Then he might have pushed Volume 1 and Volume 2 faster after Life After Death. We don't know. But like I said, the commission was coming. And anything at the commission, I think, benefits both of these guys. I don't see why I wouldn't, man. So, man, those are just some thoughts, man. I appreciate you guys listening. What do you think? Throw some comments in the comment section if you like. Subscribe if you are feeling the Dome Podcast. We're only on episode 5. Please go back and check out episodes 1 through 4. Like I said, 1996 War Hip Hop, episode 1. Episode 2, The Disrespect of 1997 Hip Hop. Check that out. It kind of all falls in line. Episode 3. Check that out. 25 Greatest MCs. Episode 4 was Nas, God's Son versus Life After Good. Good people, I appreciate you. One love. Peace from NC. Don't disrespect Jay-Z. Peace.